Hello, everyone. My name is Dalesha Logan. I'm the Senior Business Relations Manager at the Louisville Urban League. And today I have Walter Baynard with me. He is the Senior Business Coach for our Center for Entrepreneurship. So today we are going to be discussing all things entrepreneur. So the title of our session today is The Entrepreneur's Roadmap. So I'm going to be asking him a few questions as far as how to start a business, just really pertinent information on being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, the challenges that comes with it, but also, the bright side of it, the upside of it as well. So to get started, I will go ahead and give you all a brief bio on Walter. So Walter Baynard, as I mentioned earlier, is a senior business coach with the Louisville Urban League Center for Entrepreneurship, where he helps entrepreneurs and small business owners start, grow, and scale sustainable businesses. With more than 12 years of experience in the nonprofit and financial industry. Walter does specialize in strategic planning, business management, access to capital, and program development. He has coached hundreds of entrepreneurs across a wide range of industries, helping them turn ideas into thriving businesses while also creating opportunities in their communities. Alrighty, so I am not going to take up too much of your time. We are super excited to hear what you have to say, Walter. So I just have a few questions here. We can go ahead and get started. So
Yeah.
Walter, what do you feel are the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs face when they're starting a business today?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me today, Delisha. Happy to be here. Yeah. Some of the biggest challenges I've noticed over the years is really they come in with a great ideal or somewhat of an ideal, and it's really kind of turned the ideal into a real business. A lot of people struggle with finding kind of like that initial startup capital, understanding their target audience or their market. Managing cash flow is really huge as well, especially in our community, and just kind of figuring out what that legal and admin steps are. And that's
Right.
why us here at the Center for Entrepreneurship with the Urban League, we work as a back office support for those
Mhm.
entrepreneurships. Another challenge that I noticed as well is just there's just way too much information and advice out there.
Mm,
Being here online, entrepreneurs, you see workshops, you see so many different things that are not um, really ideal for every entrepreneur to be a part of.
right,
Um, and so a lot of entrepreneurs kind of get stuck trying to make everything perfect or trying
right.
to join any type of networking events and groups instead of just simply just kind of get started, like really, hone in on a few goals that you have for your business, start on
Right.
your business plan, which I'll talk about a little bit later probably, but
Mhm.
just kind of get started, where you are. That's what we do here at the Center for Entrepreneurship, just meet you where you are specifically
Mhm.
and really come with some goals and milestones that make sense for your industry.
Yeah, definitely. And also, one thing that I've noticed too is a lot of people that are starting their businesses, they feel like it's, one size fits all. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
yeah,
a lot
absolutely.
of people sometimes they have or they struggle with trying to find their own creative
Yeah,
niche or to find their own lane because, they'll see people on social media or on TV, or they'll read about someone that started a
yeah,
business. They're like, oh, I can do that too, or I can do that too, instead of kind
yeah,
of finding their own creative niche and monetizing that. So I think that's a really good point
yeah.
that you made with that as well. Like find your own lane, find your own niche,
Hmm.
master that, and then you can monetize that business. That's a
Absolutely,
good
absolutely.
point. Walter, so what do you feel like are the key elements of a strong business plan? I know you just kind of touched on that, so we can dive a little
Yeah.
deeper into that. What do you feel like are key elements of a business plan?
Honestly, I like to talk to my business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs, and try to keep it simple. Answer just a few questions like, what are you selling? Who are you
Mhm,
selling it to?
mhm,
Really knowing those things will actually help develop a business plan, and the business plan will act more like a roadmap for you. So it doesn't have
mhm.
to be like 50 to 100 pages long. It just needs
Right.
to clearly explain how the business will succeed, how the business will make money. That's
Mhm,
another big point is understanding your financials, really separating your personal financials from your business financials, because
mhm,
we see that all the time as well, especially when people are trying to ask for lending down
mhm.
the road. Their personal and their business and their husband or wives financials are all intertwined.
Right.
And then and also like what makes you different from your competitors. A lot of people, like you mentioned before, one size fit all, but it's
Mhm.
not really like that. So,
Right.
what makes you operate differently than your competitors? And then a lot of things that we work with here at the Center for Entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
including financial projections with our one-on-one financial coaching,
Mhm.
with our one-on-one business coaching. We talk about marketing strategies and then identifying clear goals. So at least we have like 3, 6, 9 goals
Mhm.
that we accomplish throughout the remainder of this year and beginning
Mhm.
of next year. I think that's a real good start for the business plan development.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of touching on what you said about separating your personal, from your business accounts. I think a lot of people, when they are starting out, they don't really have a lot of education behind that. So it's like, I'm going to start a business and, all the money that's coming in is it
Yeah,
coming into one account. All the money that's going out is, kind of being dispersed from one account. And it's hard for you to keep track of, your expenses or, your income, your profit margins, any of those things if they're all kind of merged together. So I
absolutely,
think that
absolutely.
is definitely a really good point for sure. And then, Walter, what advice do you give entrepreneurs who have a great idea but don't know where to begin? I know you kind of hit on this a few times as well, but
Yeah,
what do you feel like kind of would be a good starting point for people that have this great idea, but they're just kind of confused on where to start?
yeah. I mean, number one, just kind of start your own research, like understand your product or service that you're looking to offer. Talk to potential customers that you might sell to.
Mhm.
And before spending thousands of dollars on your business and realizing this is not going to work, talk to those customers first.
Mhm.
Maybe do a lot of research in that aspect, so a lot of research and development. Make
Mhm.
sure people actually want what you're offering,
Right.
and then create a simple business plan and identify those steps I mentioned a little bit earlier. So just those first 3 steps that you need to take
Mhm.
to be successful, to make some money.
Mhm.
Many entrepreneurs spend just too much time thinking about. Well, we don't have enough time, testing this out, or I don't know if
Yeah.
people will like me personally. It comes to a
Right.
personal gain. You see a lot of stuff on social media, which I love social media, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of lies on there as well. So just kind of start
Yes.
small,
Mhm.
learn quickly, make adjustments along the way. We
Mhm.
offer a lot of workshops here with the Center for Entrepreneurship. One of our biggest ones that we have on a monthly basis that are Taking Care of Business Tuesdays. It's a monthly educational shop where we cover a lot of things, so like business planning, marketing,
Mhm.
understanding banking, understanding your goals specifically, understanding your target audience, and so many more topics we cover on a monthly basis here at the Urban League.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, that'll definitely be helpful for those that are looking to kind of start their own businesses. And going back to what you said, that really stuck out to me was just simplifying the process. I
Yeah,
think a lot
absolutely.
of people that are looking to go into entrepreneurship, they try to take on too much at once. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of that, like what you said, social media can be paralyzing sometimes. You
right.
see, the glitter and the glam, but you don't know like what they had to go through or how long they had to go through it to get to where they are. And it's like you know, you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to go from A to F immediately,
Yeah,
without, the in between. So
definitely.
simplifying it, biting off, small doses, small amounts,
Hmm.
and also celebrating the small wins. Like
Right,
you
exactly.
opened up a business banking account, that is a win.
Yeah,
You sold your first product. It might only been one person, but that's a win. So I think a lot of people, they kind of put the cart before the horse and they don't simplify this process. They want it to be just this huge
absolutely.
thing right out the gate. As soon as they come with a business plan, they want to go from business plan to $1 million
Yeah,
overnight instead of
yeah,
actually, considering those in betweens and those nuances. And honestly, that's where a lot of business development and character development is formed. So if you're trying to
right.
jump, past
Absolutely.
that, it's a lot of things that you're going to miss. So that was a really good point that you hit
Yeah,
on there as
it's a
well.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a process. You got to take those steps,
Yeah.
and just make sure it's right for you. And we talk to people like like that about that all the time. Honestly, just kind of,
Yeah.
is this right for you? Are you doing this for the right reasons to help your family, to
Right.
help your community?
Mhm.
You're not going to make $1 million the first year. Some cases, that's possible, but
Mhm.
most cases that we work through, we want to just kind of make sure that you have clear goals, you have those steps, and you have that support behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree 100% with you. Walter, what do you feel like are some common reasons that small businesses struggle during their first few years?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier again, but I think I go to poor cash flow management. So
Mhm.
businesses often focus on their sales and forget about how to manage expenses that are
Mhm.
always coming out on a monthly or a weekly basis.
Mhm.
Um, Another issue is trying to serve everyone instead of
Right.
identifying their specific target customer.
Right.
They're not, business owners, they're not Walmart. You're not going to be able to say everybody can come in. We have everything
Exactly.
for every single person.
Mhm.
So some business owners really underestimate how much time and patience it really takes, to build a
Mhm.
successful business that's going to last, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the line, and it
Right.
rarely happens overnight. A lot of people think, we, have this overnight success and overnight celebrities, but they don't
Mhm.
understand like somebody put in a lot of work over the years to really be
Right.
successful. Yep.
Yes, absolutely. 100% agree with you on that one. Um, and then Walter, what do you feel like are some financial habits that entrepreneurs should develop to maintain a healthy business? And I know that you spoke on, opening up that
Yeah.
business account, making sure, that they have all the proper documents and things like that, a bookkeeper. What do you feel like are some other really significant things that they should have when it comes to like the financial piece of starting a business?
Yeah, yeah. So being, having a good relationship with your banker, CPA, bookkeeper, whoever you may use to kind of go over those numbers. A lot of people, and then also knowing your numbers. You're not going to
Mhm.
know every single thing, but your numbers do tell a story. So
Mhm.
reviewing your income, your expenses,
Mhm.
cash flow on a regular basis is really going to help you out and kind of separate you from the pack.
Mhm.
And then also create a budget. Frequently create a budget, stick to that budget. Don't lose track of what that budget and what those goals are for
Mhm.
whether you create a budget for 6 months or for a year. Just kind of stay true to that budget for your business, and again, keep everything separate from personal and business finances immediately.
Mhm.
That's usually the first thing I always recommend. Um, for a lot of entrepreneurs kind of getting started off, of course. And then last thing I'll mention, just good financial habits overall, create stability, and then have better decision making on your financial habits. Ask for advice. We have a financial empowerment center here at the Louisville Urban League that we help out with credit reporting, help you understand where your money is going.
Mhm.
And then, of course, with the incentive entrepreneurship, we have a lot of workshops around that too as well.
Yeah, yes, of course, of course. And definitely the budget piece. I think
Yep.
a lot of people start out and they just kind of blindly, kind of go into this whole entrepreneurship field and they don't have a budget. They're just like,
Right.
whatever, I'm going to make however much I need to make, or I'm going to lose however much I need to lose, instead of having
Sure.
like a broader picture of, that financial component of it. So,
Mhm.
I think that that's definitely really major, and
Yep.
how you are going to help your business stay afloat. Because in that first year for a lot of businesses is rocky, and a lot of
It
businesses
is.
do
Yeah.
not survive past that first year. So I think that is something that is definitely a useful tool and resource
Mhm.
to have, is budgeting, or if you have the money to be able to hire a bookkeeper or an accounting or
Right.
something like that, you definitely want to make sure that all of your financials are, up to par, so that you can survive past that, first year and however long,
Yeah.
after
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. And then Walter, how can business owners successfully scale their businesses without losing quality or customer trust? So quality in their products, quality in just their business, but also not compromising on the customer trust. Because, a lot of people, they want to scale their business, they want to do all these new things, they want to expand and things like that, but sometimes it may lose a little bit of customer trust, because at first this product was $5, now you jumped up to $8, and everything is getting expensive right now. I don't know if I can come off the extra $3. So just, but also on the business owner side, they also
Right.
have to make their money as well. So how do you feel like a business can scale but still keep the trust of the customer?
Yeah, honestly, we talked about this in our last Taking Care of Business Tuesday a little bit. Is kind of your brand and your image. You staying true to what you said your vision was, your goals are from the very start. Of
Mhm.
course, using your business plan as a roadmap and kind of that can change a little bit, of course, but really staying true to what your mission, vision, statement is from the very beginning. Not really trying to oversell, really kind of taking control of your customers, your target audience, their
Mhm.
network. Being able to dip into some resources, as far as
Mhm.
here at the Urban, we have a lot of resources for businesses that are maybe past that 3-5 year point, but they're just looking to do a little bit more. So really coming up with a growth plan, and
Mhm.
understanding that growth plan for your business as well is going to really
Mhm.
help out. Um, and it all comes down to just the foundation, really. Access
Yeah.
to just different networking opportunities, the foundation that you had started off with as well, and really kind of growing from there. And then that's how you're going to scale properly, be
Mhm.
able to grow, understand, what's happening in the world today, and
Mhm.
then what's happening in your community as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I think also too, and you kind of briefly touched on this, it's just like the customer trust. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners, they like to stay behind the scenes. They don't like to show their face a lot, or they don't like to, do a whole lot of outward expression and things like that, which I understand, because, just because you're a business owner doesn't mean you're also not an introvert. That's, a personality
Yeah,
thing. But I feel like sometimes it's hard to build trust with your customers, with your clientele, if you're not engaging with them. So if you don't have that trust component, and then you decide to jack up the prices on your product, it's like you really don't have
absolutely.
anything, like you really don't have anything that is going to continue to tether that client or
Right.
customer to you, because they never hear from you. They never, see you. And it's easier as a small business owner to be able to engage versus like, a multi-million
Mhm.
dollar, you're not really
Yeah,
going to see the
absolutely.
CEO talking to all of his customers. But I
Yeah.
feel like that is an advantage of being a small business owner, is that you're not too far removed from your clients and from your customers. So you can have a conversation with them. You can follow up with them
Mhm.
like, hey, can you provide me with some feedback on this? Or, hey, we're
Yeah.
having grand opening or the new location. I would love to see you there. Just any type of engagement that you can have with your customers, because
Right.
building that rapport and building that trust is really important, especially when you do have a business. Because it's not just about having a business, it's also about providing community, and it's also about providing those
Absolutely.
spaces where individuals, want to come shop with you or want to buy from you. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to go tell somebody else about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you have to really engage with your customers and clients when you have something that you're trying to sell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a really good point that you made, for sure. Um, Walter, how important do you think mentorship is in business, and how can entrepreneurs find the right mentors?
Yeah, I think mentorship is extremely important. When I started my business journey, I was like 16, 17 years old and
Mhm.
making all the mistakes that you could possibly make within the first, 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
The right mentor may not have all the answers that you're looking for, but
Mhm.
they can provide the guidance, accountability that you need, a different
Absolutely.
perspective, of course. And then entrepreneurs can find mentors through here at the Louisville Urban League,
Mhm.
as well as my team, myself and Chris,
Mhm.
through other organizations as like local chambers of commerce, through
Mm.
networking events. We host a lot of
Right.
networking events, and there's a lot of business networking events opportunities out there in the community too as well. But
Mhm.
having the right mentor is going to help you avoid those mistakes early on.
Yeah.
So you want, like I say, you don't want to be hustling backwards. You want to make sure that
Right.
you are focused on the goal, you're moving forward, and you're getting the right strategic advice for your business
Right. Yeah, no, definitely agree with that. And like you said, I definitely believe that mentorship, not just in business, but just in life,
in life. Yeah,
is really important. And you do hear people say, surround yourself with the people that are in the spaces that you want to one day,
right.
be in. So just finding mentorship that is helping you elevate, helping you scale, and also helping you maintain, because you
Yeah,
don't want a mentor that helps you get there, but then when you get there, they're, kind of nowhere to be found.
yeah, no
So
way.
and that kind of goes back to building that community as well. Now, what advice would you give someone? And this is kind of off script a little bit, I guess, but what advice would you give someone that is looking for a mentor, but is maybe more introverted, kind of socially awkward, kind of nervous? They don't know how to start those conversations. How do you think that someone can, kind of secure a mentor, put themselves out there, but still kind of stay within their, comfort and not feel too exposed?
Yeah, I mean, you could start. I would say just start joining different groups. So, like the Young Professionals group here at the Urban League. There's YPAL across the city as well.
Mhm.
Just start joining groups and get in those spaces, and then once you're in those spaces, you kind of see things are working. I've noticed, even being an introvert. I'm not an introvert myself, but I know some introverts. You got to kind of pull it out of them a little bit.
Right,
But once they're
right.
in those spaces and they see like people talking and engaging and really helping each other, they're going
Yeah,
to come around and start
right,
saying something, or they're going to be able to highlight, whatever product or service that they already have, even if they're
right.
working behind the scenes.
Mhm.
So I think just kind of number one, just get in those spaces within the community
Yeah,
that is out there for you right now.
mhm.
And you'll be able to find your crew.
Yeah, absolutely, and I
Yeah.
think also too leveraging social media,
Yeah.
sliding people's DMs or,
Yeah. Yeah.
when you
Absolutely.
see an event pop up on, social media or an Eventbrite or whatever, like, like you said, just attend those events. And when it's a networking event, people are already expecting to network. So sometimes,
Right.
because I'm actually that way, I get shy. I don't like to kind of make the first move. But if I show up to a networking event, I know at some point someone's gonna come speak to me because it's a
Yeah.
networking
Absolutely.
event. Now, once you come and speak to me, now I'm a social butterfly. We can talk all day. We can
Hmm.
talk about everything. But I think it's just that initial step forward. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person that feels that way. So
No.
I think if we can, just kind of help guide people and tell them, hey, it's okay. I know, you're kind of shy, a little socially awkward, but if you put yourself in those places, like, you never know what could happen.
Right.
You never know what could
Right.
come from that. So yeah, that is definitely important. Networking and mentorship is definitely essential when it comes to starting a business, building a business. And like I said, just in life and, life in general, you may just want to call
Sure.
somebody just to talk like, hey, I had a tough day, or, just
Yeah.
a little bit of guidance is really important when it comes to that. So Walter, that actually wraps up all the questions that I had. But I know that you all in the Center for Entrepreneurship have some really exciting things happening and coming up. So why don't you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. We do. We redesigned this program from what we used to do. We've been doing this for about 5 years now.
Hmm.
So we just decided it's time. 2026 is a change where we're going to offer more educational workshops,
Hmm.
more access to capital. We have a Black Business Expo coming up August 8th at the Norton Sports Complex. So that information is going to be posted all over social media. We're going to be reaching out to people to kind of be a part of that event. We have some great surprises on that specific day.
Nice.
Um, and then we have, of course, every month we're doing something with our entrepreneurs as far as putting them in the rooms with each other,
Hmm.
whether it be a group session or individual sessions or just a couple people here and there.
Hmm.
We're really big on education, training, and those specific goals and milestones because we want a lot of sustainable businesses here. Here in Louisville, we have a small amount that are Black owned and minority owned businesses. And we want to definitely up that number. So it's a perfect time right now to sign up for our program with the Center for Entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
We have some funding opportunities. We have one-on-one coaching, financial coaching, and then we're here to help you. We're here to help you stay consistent. We know challenges arise, and we just don't want you to quit. We want you to be successful business owners to really change your family, change your community here in Louisville.
Yes, absolutely. And for those that do want to sign up for the program, where can they sign up at?
Yeah, yeah. The best way is lul.org. Uh, and then you can see underneath business, Center for Entrepreneurship. There's a whole application there. Just kind of let us know a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your business. We have two different program tracks. So we have an emerging business program track, and that's
Mhm,
kind of usually more the early stage. And we have established business program track, which is usually about a later stage business. But we have different workshops, lots of trainings to offer for both tracks.
mhm.
So we're here to just provide that back office support for you.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect. Well, Walter, this was a delight. Thank you so much
awesome.
for
Yeah,
joining me today. You really provided some helpful nuggets that I know a lot of entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs can really benefit from. Yeah, no, this was awesome. So, we are, here at the Louisville Urban League, we're constantly doing the work. We're constantly showing up. We're constantly providing, resources for any client that walks in and needs assistance. And I have been finding lately a lot of people are looking to start businesses. So I felt
yeah.
like this was a really good topic to go ahead and hit on and to touch on. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you, Walter. And I look
Thank
forward
you.
to speaking with you again.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate this, Delisha, and it's been amazing. Looking forward to working with everybody.
Yes, thank you so much. You enjoy the
Thank
rest of
you.
your day, Walter.
You too. Bye bye.
Thanks.